Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the QBL Grand Finals and Game 1 of the Women's Championship game between the Southern District Spartans and the Gold Coast Rollers. My name is Regan Baker, joined as always by Braden Hazelhurst in the commentary box. As we're about to start playing the anthem, I'm quickly going to kick to a video that we had with the coaches before the game. Here we go.
We got Lady Spartans coach Rebecca Lewis here with us before the game. Beck, how's the team feeling coming into third straight grand final series?
Yeah, really good. We're a little bit injured at the moment, but morale is really high. A lot of excitement around the three-peat.
What's the key for your group going into a grand final series?
The key for us, I think, is our experience, and particularly against this team who does a good job of playing 40 minutes. We need to use our experience to control the momentum flows of the game.
As a coach, what gives you confidence in your team? Obviously, you've been there last 2 years. What gives you confidence going into a grand final series like this?
Definitely experience. It's always a good one to have. But I think what separates us with, against Gold Coast is our depth. Definitely.
No worries. Good luck.
Thank you.
And we'll quickly just play the second video, which is going to be with Cassie Dover, the coach of the Gold Coast Rollers.
Gold Coast Rollers, ladies coach, Cassie Dover here with us before the grand final series. Cassie, how's the team feeling coming into this game?
Yeah, good. We've had a good couple of weeks in prep for it, had some rest because we didn't play last weekend, so yeah, we're ready to go. Vibes are good and yeah, we're prepared.
Cool. What are the keys for your team heading into a grand final series?
Just doing what we've done all year, just play as a team, stay poised where we need to, push the ball when we need to. It's just playing our game and taking them out of theirs, really.
And as a coach, what gives you confidence with this team heading into a grand final series?
Just how much they've been a team. That's been a big part of our culture, is like sticking together, having each other's back, and I think if we can do that and share the ball around, that we're pretty hard to stop. So when it comes to that,
all right, thank you. Good luck.
No worries. Thank you. Cheers.
And we're just over a minute and a half to go before kickoff. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. We're just trying to fix out some quick issues that have arisen last minute due to some power failure here at the stadium. So please bear with us and we'll continue our stream with you very, very shortly. We've got just over a minute and a half till kickoff. Ladies and gentlemen, just bear with us for one more minute. We're just going to quickly change cameras over and we should be ready to roll. So we may miss tip-off very briefly, but we're back with you live in just under a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to QBL Grand Final action. Apologies there for the first 30 seconds of the game. For some reason, as always does, I've been here for 2.5 hours, checked all of our technology, and everything failed the minute we hit the button that says go live. But we are now underway. It is the Southern District's Lady Spartans taking on the Gold Coast Rollers in QBL Game 1 Grand Final action. I'm here joined by Braden Hazelhurst, head coach of the Logan Thunder women's QBL team. Braden, what a matchup we're going to have on our hands here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of two completely different teams in Spartans who are experienced and have been there before and won back-to-back and was kind of dominant all season. Then Gold Coast, who have been a bit of a surprise packet this year and got their over wins over us and Townsville in the lead-up. So it's going to be a great matchup this weekend.
Yeah, definitely so. And realistically, Gold Coast did such a fantastic job last weekend in their semi-final as well. You know, any team that can play 45 minutes of basketball and get a donut out of a former WNBL player is a massive, massive effort.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what they sort of hang their hat on in this final series is their defense. They, like I said, did it against us, and then were able to do it against Townsville, where they kept Abby Bishop to 0 points. So that's what they're going to have to hang their hat on again this week against a Spartans team that's probably has more potent, is more potent offensively and more dangerous sort of weapons from the perimeter. So it's going to be interesting to see how Gold Coast cover that this weekend. Yeah,
definitely so. And realistically, defense is going to be so incredibly important for them throughout their finals campaign. And I think, look, they've definitely got it in them to, to really slow down this Southern District Spartans team. Last time they came up against each other, I mean, it was only an 8-point ball game. Admittedly, I do believe it was in round 1 of competition, so it was two very different teams without imports and some key players here. But an 8-point ball game when they first faced each other, so we could have quite a tight game on our hands, and I'm really looking forward to see how it pans out. Arjanpara Amar taking another jump shot. That one just a little bit too strong and bouncing out. We do have a 3-0 score so far in favour of the Spartans, but Gold Coast very, very quick to get some points on the board as well with a nice drive into the bucket there for Ariana Mora.
And that's going to be big for Gold Coast. Ariana Mora has been sensational during the final series, and her and Jackie Luna Castro are going to have to fire if they have any chance to score enough points to contend with the Spartans this weekend.
Yeah, definitely so, and it's going to be hard if Leah Scott is going to have a game like that, going to the bucket, getting the 2 and the foul. She's been so dominant all season, Scott. She's come into this season with so much fire in her belly and had an amazing season. Just looking at the team statistics sitting here in front of me, she really has performed incredibly well throughout her 2019 campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously coming across from University of Sunshine Coast RIP and a bit of a different program, a program that's established and been the dominant sort of women's program in Queensland. So she's averaged over 23 and 8 this season. Has been sensational and obviously one of the MVP candidates this year.
Yeah, definitely so. And, 23 points in a season is an incredible effort as well. And, doing work down both ends of the floor as well. She is incredibly strong defensively, really quick on the feet, and just a big threat down both ends.
Yeah, for sure. And this start's going to be big for Gold Coast. Obviously, like I said, Spartans have the experience with being in back-to-back grand final series and winning them, and Gold Coast sort of don't have that. So the start, just to settle their nerves and everything, is huge as we see Ariana Mora miss a foul line jump shot, but the start's huge for Gold Coast tonight.
Definitely so, and a great look there as well for Spartans. They're just moving the ball around really well, and their offense has been pretty on point. Big contact there, but they're going to play that one through. And the putback is good, and I don't know how, but managing to find the bottom of the net. Gold Coast with it now, driving straight to the bucket, and Mora again having herself a game. She's scored all 4 for the Gold Coast so far. As we hear nice banter coming out from the Gold Coast supporters behind us against the local commentator, our good friend Jordan.
That's always going to happen with Jordan, I think.
3-point jump shot there from Luna Castro. No good, just a little bit too strong, bouncing off the rim. Offensive rebound looks good though. They've got the putback shot there. No good for Sian Woods, and defensive board there for Spartans. So sitting on a 7-4 lead so far for the Spartans. A nice early start as Isaac sitting in the keyway. cries for 3 seconds in the key sitting behind us here, and they do eventually get the call as well. So just spending a little too long inside.
Yeah, it's a good call. Obviously, Odette sprinted down into the keyway, you know, waited for a post, caught it, and took, I think, 3 dribbles. So that was a pretty obvious call, but received a little bit of help from the Gold Coast faithful as well.
Yeah, we are sitting amongst the Gold Coast supporters here in the grandstands as well. Some of them have been here as long as an hour and a half getting ready for this game. I think they must have had a team bus drive up. So a huge turnout here from Gold Coast, pushing their team to a grand final series. But they won't be too happy with that as the inside layup from Carly Patrick goes over the top. Spartans just really nice pacing now as well. They're going to go inside again this time round. Para Mamar can't find the bottom of the net on that one either, and tipped out for Gold Coast ball.
And that's where it makes it tough for someone like Ariana Mora. Obviously a great defender, but she does have that not enough size to sort of compete with Aja, and Aja's so smart, so she'll be able to get to the post. Hopefully, you know, Aja will be hoping to sort of try and create some contact and get Ariana in some foul trouble early. So Gold Coast have to be wary of that and maybe give her some help.
Great drive there from Patrick, getting a nice little drop from the inside. And look, realistically, that's something that Spartans should really do as well. Just try and draw some of those fouls early on from the Gold Coast girls, because one of the big advantages I guess Southern Districts have coming into this game is depth. You know, we've said it for a couple of seasons now, is this Southern District Spartans team is so deep, as we see Isaac drain a 3-point shot, where I think she hit 4 2 weeks ago in the semi-final, Braden. But this Spartans team is deep, whereas Gold Coast, realistically, they only play, you know, 7 consistent players, and then maybe have an 8th jumping in every now and then as well. So, you know, if districts can get them in a little bit of foul trouble or really run them off their feet and wear them down, they'll have themselves a good position.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw in the semi-final, Gold Coast only played 6 players. So they're probably going to have to adjust that a little bit, you know, across the 3-game series if they want to have a chance. But Spartans want to take advantage of that, but they don't want to do what they've done the last couple of possessions and try and do it off no ball movement either, because Gold Coast are too talented defensively and work too hard defensively to just come down off no ball movement and try and attack. So they'll look to exploit those mismatches, but hopefully off a bit more ball movement.
Great pass inside there. The shot is up for Haynes, and it finds the net, taking the lead up to 4. And that's been a Haynes staple shot for many years in the QBL as well. Just that inside turnaround jump shot. See Patrick taking a deep 3-point drop there over the top of Para Mamar, and that hits it.
She's been huge for the Gold Coast this year. I think, you know, when we played against her, we made her a sort of focus, because off the bench against good teams when they've won big games, she's averaged sort of between that 15 and 20-point mark. So she's got off early, and, you know, if Spartans let her get going offensively, it's going to be pretty tough for them.
Yeah, well, she's coming to the season averaging just over 12 points a game as well. And, you know, it was a staple in the semi-final last week up north, scoring 9 points. A little bit inconsistent, though. Her 9 points was only at 33%. But, you know, 9 crucial points in getting that victory in the semi-final over Townsville.
It's been a bit of an interesting start, too. Obviously, Gold Coast down by 1, but I think they've sort of had the momentum early. They've missed a couple of bunnies at the rim and missed a couple of easy shots, but they've sort of looked a more composed team in that early. So Spartans will look to address that, and hopefully for them get back in the game with some, you know, experience, focus, and ball movement, and just some consistency on both ends of the floor.
And this is exactly what we expected coming out of the Gold Coast team as well. And as, you know, we heard from Cassie Dover off camera and a little bit on camera as well, you know, they need to be aggressive down both ends of the floor. And we've definitely seen that on the offensive end so far, that they really are attacking that rim and trying to get as many points up early as they can.
Absolutely. And then as we just saw, Nat Taylor comes on and hits a 3. And we saw it in the semi-final. The 2 people you don't want to get going off from the 3-point line on the Spartans team is Odette Isaac and Nat Taylor. You've got to be locked into them and make them put on the floor, otherwise it's going to be a long night.
Yeah, and both of them have already hit their first 3-point shot within the first quarter, so not good signs for Gold Coast. As like you said, we saw Isaac really finding her mark 2 weeks ago, in the semi-final, hitting 4 from 5 from the 3-point line, as Nat Taylor also goes to work inside and punishes from there as well. So Spartans starting to get that little bit of momentum now as well, getting themselves up to a 6-point lead. And Cassie Dover not too happy about what she's seen out on the floor, so she's called a timeout. We're going to take a quick break as well as I continue to try and fix some of our issues that we're having early on. But stay tuned, we'll have more of this QBL semi-final action for you shortly. back with you here from Roland Cowan Stadium in Carina as we continue to bring you the QBL Game 1 action. 17 plays 11. Braden, good time out there from Coach Dover, just trying to hold that momentum from the Spartans a little bit and get her troops back on board and firing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Gold Coast had the momentum early, but in those last sort of 3 or 4 possessions, I think their trans D wasn't very good, and they didn't lock into the individual stuff, letting that Taylor have a 3 and then gave up some easy transition buckets. So great time out from Cassie Dover, and they answer right back with a Jackie Luna Castro layup. So tough foul down there, but a good timeout, and she'll look to address those simple defensive areas for Gold Coast.
Yeah, that foul going against Sian Woods. That'll only be her first, though, but 3 for the team with just under 2 minutes to go. So not too bad a position for either team at the moment. It's been a relatively well-fought game as well. Only 4 fouls in the quarter so far. The first free throw there is good for Taylor. The second looked a little bit shoddy for a second there, but managed to find its way down. We're back up to that 6-point lead. Gold Coast with it now. Inside look there for Carly Patrick. She spins to the bucket and fires away, but Odette Isaac with the beautiful defense managing to get the stop. Taylor again from the 3, this time a little bit too short. Defensive board, Mora heading down the floor as well, needing to pass off. She gets it back though as the shot clock starts to roll down into single digits. Luna Castro on the inside now. Turnaround fadeaway jumper, no good.
Spartans out and running again. Scott, working hard.
Scott on the drive to the bucket, but amazing defense there and getting the great stop. And that's what you like to see as well. And she's had quite a few blocks in the game so far, in the season so far. So really good job there.
Yeah, that's what Sarah Ambrose is known for. She's a great one-on-one defender and able to read where Leah Scott was going there and get the block and the stop for Gold Coast. And it's going to be interesting to see what Gold Coast do. I think they've been a little bit stagnant offensively. I liked early on when they played through on-ball screens for Ariana Mora, as we see Carly Patrick get on the rim again and get the and one with a foul on Ashley Caratiana. But I just think they've been better when they've been playing through that on-ball and then moving and getting people like Carly Patrick on the move rather than playing from the post and everyone sort of stopping. So it'll be interesting to see what Gold Coast sort of focus on offensively, and we see Spartans go into a 3-2 zone, which we have seen Gold Coast struggle with in the past. So going to be an interesting finish to this first quarter.
Yeah, definitely so. As we see the second free throw there falling in.
Ladies Spartans looking to extend their lead back out.
Apologies, I just realized the camera has dropped out again. We're just having a couple of unfortunate issues with the internet connection, causing us to drop our camera single. Just going to work on that quickly now, guys, and I'll be back with you in just 2 seconds. And we've got ourselves into quarter time now. It is 21 plays 16. The Southern District Spartans managing to get themselves up by 5 points so far. Being that it is quarter time, guys, we are going to check out and take a quick break as well. And I'm going to continue working on these issues that we're having here. I do apologize in advance. We'll hopefully get things sorted out for you shortly. we got the camera back up and running. So it is the start of the... So we've got 21 plays 18, just working on some final fixes here on the camera work for you guys. We'll quickly talk you through what's going on. 3-point shot there, no good for Natalie Taylor, and defensive board for Sarah Ambrose. So only a 3-point ball game in front of us here at the moment. So really good job from both teams, and Gold Coast holding in, as we sort of said they probably will. As the shot clock rolls down into single digits, Mora's got the ball at the top of the 3-point line. She steps in, takes a jump shot. Bit of contact there as well, but no call made. And now fast break opportunity, and there's a foul called. And Ashley Caratiana is going to go to the line for 2.
Yeah, and we saw in the first quarter, that's when Spartans were able to get going, when Gold Coast either took bad shots offensively or weren't great in transition D, and that allowed Spartans to get going a little bit. You know, I think that's where Gold Coast really struggled. Otherwise, I think they might have had a lead. I think they were the better team in the first quarter. So if they can pick up that transition D and make Spartans play in the half court, because Spartans looked like they weren't really running much and were a bit all over the place in that first quarter. So if Gold Coast locked down that area, on the other hand, good defensive set from Spartans and a good push. As we see Spartans go to a 1-2-2, try and put some extra pressure on the Gold Coast ball handlers, which results in a turnover.
And we're back up and running now as well, guys. We do apologize again for the issues we've been having here. It's been a little bit of an interesting setup, and unfortunately with the crowd as active as they are causing some minor connection issues with our setup, rattling cables out, and so on and so forth. But hopefully we do stay up and running. If there are any further issues, guys, do feel free to jump onto the YouTube channel or the Facebook channel and let us know as well. I'm going to try and continue monitoring throughout the game, but do let us know how it's going. And rock and roll, here we go again. So it is 23 plays 18. Gold Coast with the ball now, but great hands there from Aja Paramamar, and she goes coast to coast and lays it in for the easy 2.
Yeah, again, it's coming over poor offensive execution from the Gold Coast Rollers, and Spartans able to turn it into a fast break bucket. Again, both good defensive teams. You can't play stagnant. That's what happened to Gold Coast there, and it resulted in a turnover. And again, pretty stagnant shot, not much ball movement, so Gold Coast need to address that before Spartans run out with a big lead here.
And that's going to help that lead out as we see Caratiana taking a big 3-point drop to extend that lead out to double digits for the first time in the game. It's 28 plays 18. Nice move there from Woods, kicks it out. They're going to find Luna Castro in the corner. She fakes, steps in, and fires away a nice little jump shot from the inside. Gold Coast really need to get a stop here, but that's not going to do it for them. See Lee Scott going inside for 2.
Yeah, and again, they need to pick up the ball early. You can't let someone like Leah Scott get into the keyway before you meet her in transition D. She's way too good, and if if Gold Coast keep allowing that, it's going to be a long night for them.
Yeah, definitely so. And realistically, they just need to get more active on that defense as well. We saw it 2 weeks ago up in Townsville. They just need to make sure they're getting themselves in position to stop those easy drives into the bucket, because this Spartans team does rely quite heavily on inside points. Hand off to Caratiana as she goes inside, dishing out. Shot there, no good unfortunately for Beck Haynes. And almost gets the steal as well, but she's going to pick up the foul for reaching around. And good decision there by Luke Patrick as well. Just a little bit too much contact for his liking. That'll be Haynes' first foul, and she will get checked out. Subbed in for Carly Curry.
Yeah, I think this is a really important time for Gold Coast. Obviously, we're pretty close for most of the game so far, but Spartans look like they're sort of getting their mojo back a little bit defensively and turning into easy buckets down the other end. So Spartans, obviously the more experienced team, they know how to make advantage of these runs. So Gold Coast really need to execute both defensively and offensively now if they want to stay in the game. Yeah,
definitely so, and you might not have seen it on camera. I think it took place just off to the side there as well. Referee Luke Patrick giving the Gold Coast team a flop warning as well. Just from the screen from the other end of the floor before. I can't quite remember who it was that set the screen and who ran through it, but they are going to give a flop warning saying there wasn't enough contact to warrant the Gold Coast player falling over off the screen. Lee Scott's jump shot, a little bit too strong and no good. Uncontested rebound, bounced out, and it is going to end in the hands of the Gold Coast.
Lady Spartans looking to get another stop, suffocating the Gold Coast Rollers offense.
Pass inside for Luna Castro is heavily contested by Carly Curry, and doing a really great job there as well. She manages to get the jump ball, but it is going to stay with Gold Coast.
Yeah, and as I said before, I think the ball needs to be in Ariana Mora's hands against such a good defensive team like Spartans. You can't have an on-ball like that and then a lob pass for someone rolling to the rim. So,
speaking of Mora, she fires a three-point shot, but a little bit too far to the left. See Lee Scott now dishing off. Caratiana going for the drive inside. A nice little jump shot through defense for two.
she's been big off the bench. You know, she's come back this year from having a baby, and she's taken a little bit of time to get her fitness back and all that sort of stuff. But she's played in big games, won a Seaboard Championship with Bendigo last year, and she's been a real plus for Spartans off the bench so far tonight.
Yeah, and she's having a really great game as well. I mean, she's come into the season only averaging 4.9 points a game, but she's come into this one and she's doing a lot of amazing things for the team as well. I believe she's already on, I think those were her 6th and 7th points for the game.
Yeah, and down the other end again, Ariana Mora answers back with a step-back three.
A good D-board there for Patrick. Mora on the fast break opportunity. Finds Walker in the corner. She fires. Sorry, that was Wormsley, not Walker. Can't tell my 2s from my 7s. Mora fires another 3 from the same spot, and again, that one just not quite on target. Gold Coast again needing another stop on this play here. It's a 9-point lead for the Spartans at the moment. Ball goes inside as Taylor rolls around, fires away. Good defense from the Rollers to stop the shot. District's coming down with the offensive rebound though. And a great block there from Sarah Ambrose. It's going to end on 4 seconds on the shot clock for the Spartans, so they're going to bring it in. We are going to have a quick timeout as well, though, so stay right with us. We'll be back with you shortly with more QBL Grand Final action from Roland Cowan Stadium. And back with you here at Roland Cowan Stadium. It's a 9-point ball game. Southern District Spartans going to have 4 seconds to bring the ball in to make a shot after that great block again by Sarah Ambrose. Ball's in and a long 3-bomb there for Caratiana. Again hitting the net. She is absolutely on fire.
Yeah, that's coach killers, as we've spoken about in the past. You know, when someone gets hot, you can't give them any space. And just a direct line pass from the out of bounds play with 4 seconds left. You leave a wide open shooter who's been hot so far this game, and she's able to put another 3-pointer on the board for Spartans.
Yeah, definitely. Gold Coast wouldn't be too happy with that one there, but they do come down the other end and fire a long 2-bomb for themselves. Luna Castro also starting to get hot in this game as well, but Gold Coast just needs to continue working on that defense and preventing shots like that as Caratiana, again, she is really feeling it, and Gold Coast are just not getting in her face fast enough.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, a simple handoff and then an on-ball. You can't go under someone that's just hit, you know, 2 or 3 threes. So Gold Coast, again, needs to address those simple individual areas defensively and try and get better shots to stop the Spartans' offense at the moment.
See a reply there from Ambrose, but unfortunately just rolls out at the last second. Spartans with it again now. They find Taylor inside. She turns around at the free throw line, turns and shoots.
The scouting report will tell you that is a Purcell layup.
Again, massive time of the game for Gold Coast with 2 minutes left before a halftime break. It's a 15-point lead. They need to get it back to around that 10-point mark as Ariana Mora goes to the rim and gets the foul, but massive time for Gold Coast. You don't want to be going down, into a halftime break, down by 20. So they need to try and address some areas and pull it back before the main break.
Yeah, definitely so. And you just see a foul on that one there. So Mora is going to go to the line for 2 shots. And apologies, I do believe that last shot was actually from Mellors, not Taylor. So both free throws there, good for Mora, but still a bit of a deficit to make up. It's 13 points the difference. So we see Isaac chasing after the wild pass there, managing to save it from the out of bounds. Mellors inside, spins and fires.
Good move, but that's a long time in the keyway. I know the people behind me are saying it, but you're able to seal for a couple of seconds and then take 3 dribbles. I don't know if that's a debatable call, but a great move from Mellors there to get the bucket.
Yeah, it was a really good move. And again, Spartans are just doing the same things over and over again, and they're just finding that it continues to work. Gold Coast haven't quite caught on to what offense Spartans are running, and they're just a little bit late to get there and stop those ones. So that's when you really need that second player to step up and have that help defense coming in, because that's worked for them probably 4 or 5 times in this game now. So we see Lee Scott fire one as well, but that one's a little bit too strong. Mora with the board for the Rollers as she goes coast to coast, flips one up and finds the roll.
And again, we've said when she has the ball in her hands, Gold Coast look great. And on the other hand, Spartans were able to get some easy transition buckets, but the last couple of possessions, Gold Coast have been able to. So if they can keep doing that, they'll get themselves back in the game.
Yeah, and Lee Scott down the other end finds her way into the key again and flips one up. And I think you're right, Mora does need to get a couple more touches. She's already on 13 points in the game so far, so she is doing a really, really great job of scoring. But outside of her, there's not too many other players with points on the board, outside of Luna Castro with 6. Patrick with 8 as well. So the more Mora can get the ball, the more Gold Coast is going to continue to close down this 13-point deficit.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, she's got 13 points, but on the other hand, she's got that 13 points without having the ball sort of every possession. I think she needs to touch the ball at least every possession for Gold Coast to have a chance.
See Ambrose fire a 3-point shot on that one and finds the net as well. We're back down to a 10-point ball game. Gold Coast starting to find a little bit of momentum and starting to, close down their shooting percentage as well, because they've been getting a lot of good shots. They just haven't had the friendly roll. 10 seconds in the game now. Spartans with the ball. See Lee Scott taking the 3-point shot on the buzzer and finds the bottom of the net. Spartans closing out the half with a lead of 13 points, and that's a nice and healthy way to come into the halftime break if you're the Southern District Spartans.
Yeah, absolutely, especially since Gold Coast kind of fought their way back a little bit in the last 2 minutes. So Spartans were definitely the better team in that second quarter. So they've shown their experience. They're able to sort of deal with Gold Coast running that first quarter and answer back just through consistency on the both ends of the floor. Able to force Gold Coast into some tough shots early, and then we're able to take advantage of mismatches down the other end. But like I said, Gold Coast fought their way back in that last 2 minutes. Unlucky with that 3 at the end, but that's what Gold Coast do. They're not the most talented roster in the league, but they just fight hard for 40 minutes. So when you get up by double digits, you can't rest against them, and I'm sure Cassie Dover will look to address maybe some areas around offensive execution and D-trans and maybe, like you said earlier, help them when they get mismatches in that post. But apart from that, Gold Coast aren't doing too bad. They just need to fix up those couple areas, and I think they'll be back in the game. Yeah,
definitely so. It's it's only 13 points, and we've seen much bigger leads get closed than this. So Gold Coast will absolutely come firing out of the halftime break. Coach Dover's going to look at the way they're playing defense at the moment, make sure they're closing out those big 3-point shooters like Isaac, Haynes and Caratiana at the moment as well, really, really firing for the Southern District Spartans. So they'll come out defensively quite strong. And look, they just need to continue finding their rhythm on the offensive end as well. They've been taking a lot of good shots, just haven't managed to find the bottom of the net. But this Southern Districts team is looking hot, and they're setting themselves up for quite a good victory if they can keep playing the way they have.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's kind of like a contrast in styles, right? Like Spartans have enough offensive weapons that they want to have the game in, 80s, 90s. The games Gold Coast have won against us in the quarterfinals and Townsville in the semis it's been around that 70-point mark. So Gold Coast need to address their defense. I think it's helping on the post. Like I said, the Spartans have had too many easy layups going at the post. Like you said, and Ipswich were guilty of it a couple of weeks ago when we called a game of letting shooters just have time to be able to catch and shoot in rhythm. So they need to take care of that. But the other thing as well, they need to pick up Leah Scott earlier in transition. She's too good to be able to pick her up around the foul line. She can either create for herself or for others. So, and then on the other side, they want to slow it down, but they want to take good shots. They don't want to get caught into slowing down and just taking bad shots at the end of the clock, because that leads to transition buckets. So those are the key areas for Gold Coast Spartans. They just need to keep doing what they're doing. I've liked what they did in the second quarter. They took advantage of mismatches and really moved the ball and attacked the paint. Ash Caratiana was able to get going a little bit. So if they can lock in defensively and keep that offensive going, and attack the rim at will like they have been, it's going to be very tough for Gold Coast in the second half.
Yeah, definitely so. Well, it's a 13-point ball game, and Southern District Spartans getting out to a healthy lead into halftime. We're going to take a quick break. There's 12 minutes to go in the break, so stay right with us, and we're back with the second half of action for you shortly, as presented by Nothing But Net Media and the Stream Team Australia. Stay tuned. was out. So it's been a little bit of a nightmare, but thanks for sticking with us through it all, guys. We're back up and running now on all fronts. And time to get this third quarter of action underway, Braden, and what a third quarter of action it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, in the first half, I thought Gold Coast was a better team in the first quarter, and then Spartans able to pull away in that second quarter just through doing the simple stuff right. And I know, speaking to Cassie Dover from the Gold Coast Rollers before today, she said that sticking to the game plan and sticking to scouts for 40 minutes was huge against Spartans, and I don't think they did that in that second quarter, so that's obviously something they'll look to address in this second half, and if they can do that, they'll get themselves back in the game.
Yeah, definitely so, and realistically, it is still anyone's game, and 13 points is absolutely nothing coming into half-time, but letting Lee Scott drop that on you within the first 15 seconds of the game is definitely not ideal, taking that lead up to 16, but there is a foul after the bucket, just a bit of a push in the back on the rebounding opportunity. And apologies as well, there was a long two, not a three-point shot there from Lee Scott. So 49 plays 34. Luna Castro now for the Gold Coast with an opportunity, but a nice little hands in there from Odette Isaac, getting the strip, but not paying enough attention there as Carly Curry's pass bounces off the back of her hands. Walmsley's pass stolen though by Carly Curry, and Luna Castro going to knock it out, so Spartans will get the possession back.
Yeah, absolutely, and we spoke about it in the first quarter. Spartans weren't doing a great job of executing and exploiting mismatch off movement. They were much better in the second quarter, and we see, Gold Coast try and go through Jackie Luna Castro, but there's no movement outside of that, so 3 Spartans able to sit in the middle of the keyway and provide help and get the steals. So Gold Coast really need to address their offense, get something moving, get some attacks on the rim if they want to compete.
See a nice little jump shot there from Mellors. She's also been on fire here tonight, getting another 2-point drop just inside the old 3-point line.
51-34. Your Carina Leagues Club Lady Spartans extending their lead. Foul will be called on Carly Curry.
And they've got a foul call here against Carly Curry, getting the bump in the back. And they're going to have 2 free throws now for the Gold Coast.
Yeah, and again, that's what Gold Coast need. If they're going to attack, they need some pressure on the basket, put defense, Spartans defense under pressure. But like I said in that first quarter, Ariana Mora had such a good start, and she didn't even have the ball in her hands that much. I think they really need to play through someone like her, and that can get other people going, because when Spartans pay a bit more attention to her, she can create for others. She's a good passer, but she can also create for herself as well.
Woods goes 2 from 2 for the Gold Coast. 36 plays 51 as I just... And almost a turnover there from Mellors, just losing the handles. Scott now taking a 3-point shot. That one is no good. They've got another foul call here as well. So that's 3 fouls early for Spartans, getting themselves in a little bit of trouble early on.
Yeah, and a bit of a pointless one there too. Obviously, Gold Coast got the rebound, but apart from Carly Curry, there was 4 Spartans back. So a bit of an unnecessary foul there, and it's obviously put Spartans in a bit of a pressure situation with only 2 fouls left in the quarter.
Yeah, with 8 minutes to go as well. So a bit of a difficult position now for Spartans. Going to have to play very good defense for the next little piece. And Carly Curry has checked out for the Spartans now as well. So we see Ambrose going to the bucket with the left hand, but a little bit too strong. As the Spartans now with the fast break opportunity, just slowing it down though. Mellors to Isaac. Mellors doing what Mellors has been doing all game. She spins inside and fires, but too far to the left.
Yeah, and down the other end again, Gold Coast were looking to do a bit more movement to get the ball to Ariana Mora, but I don't think you can do that against Spartans. The way they switch, it just allows them to deny Ariana Mora and keep the ball out of her hands. So I think they need to get it to her early and let her create for everyone else.
Yeah, and Mora's been having a really great game so far as well. She's sitting on 15 points and really has been the major playmaker for the Rollers. So we see a player that really needs to get hot, and that's Luna Castro. She's been doing relatively well in the game. She's got 6. That'll now be 8 for her. But she needs to start getting the ball a little bit more as well. They can't rely just on Mora to get all the points, because Luna Castro's done a lot for them throughout the season. And that's where Luna Castro also steps up with that big block opportunity there. Ball in the corner. The three-point shot is up, but no good for Susanna Walmsley. Spartans now with a fast break opportunity, but Mel is a little bit too ambitious, firing straight over the top of the rim. And those really are a coach killer as well. You got the perfect fast break opportunity and just slight lack of concentration and just shooting that little bit too hard.
Yeah, and I think for both teams, the last couple of minutes has been a bit scrappy. I think, you know, both teams need to look at trying to execute, slow it down a little bit, get to the basket, and obviously execute defensively. But these last couple of minutes have been a bit scrappy, and that's what happens in grand finals. Sometimes when everyone's so, you know, passionate and energetic, it get a bit scrappy. So right now, like I said, I think you need to keep the ball in Ariana Mora's hands and try and get something good offensively and slow it down for Gold Coast.
Yeah, as we see Beck Haynes checking back in for the Spartans. She's going to sub in for Lee Scott. And Gold Coast really starting to pick up their defense now as well. They've had a couple of steals in a row on their defensive possessions. And now it's just a matter of turning those steals or turning those stops into offensive points. So they've been doing really good down one end of the floor, but they just haven't been able to convert and actually get the reward in points for their hard work defensively.
Yeah, and that's big, like you said, as they turn the ball over there. When you have the momentum against a team like Spartans, you need to make use of it. You know, they're getting some good stops, but you need to put points on the board. If Spartans can withstand a run and they haven't got many points against them, then it's going to be awfully tough for you. So, like you said, Gold Coast need to turn those defensive stops into opportunities down the other end.
Yeah, definitely so. And unfortunately, that time they didn't get the points on the board, and they're not going to get the stop this time around as Aja Paramama with a nice little jump shot for two. Gold Coast a little bit lucky on that one, I think. Ball just rattling around a couple of sets of feet before going out of bounds. But Patrick going to bring it in for the Rollers. 17 seconds on the shot clock, so healthy amount of time to look for a good opportunity. It's with Mora in the corner. And they've got the foul call there. They're going to give that one against Shami and Mellors. So that's the fourth team foul. A little bit hard to see in that corner, unfortunately, guys, just with the way the stadium itself is built and where our camera is. But Mellors just reaching in a little bit too ambitiously, getting Mora across the arms on the attempted steal. But the ball back in play now. 10 seconds on the shot clock as Mora blocked massively from behind by Haynes. And Spartans on the move. Taylor making it look easy from three.
Yeah, I think a timeout from Gold Coast coach Cassie Dover is not far away. But again, good attack from Ariana Mora, but even better defensive play from Rebecca Haynes, and they able to turn it into points down the other end.
Yeah, lead the biggest it's been all game now, up to 18 points. So I think a timeout soon from Dover will be a good idea from the coaching staff, just to try and regather themselves, you know, just settle the team down, just let them know, look, we're not out of this one yet. We just need to pick up our defensive intensity. We need to continue trying to take good, reliable, good quality shots inside, and we can start closing this gap down shot by shot. Corner three-point shot is up from Patrick, but a little bit too strong. Isaac, defensive board for the Spartans, where under 5 to go in the third quarter. Corner three-point shot is up again for Spartans, but that one falls out as well. And Mora with it now, but not much offensive movement now from the Gold Coast. So Mora having to go herself and gets fouled on the inside as well. But that just, it's good to see Mora being aggressive and taking the ball to the bucket, but from the rest of the Gold Coast Rollers team, I didn't see a single player move with any kind of ferocity or energy at all on that offensive play. They all just kind of stood around and waited for Mora to do something.
Yeah, I agree. You know, the spacing could be a little bit better, but I like that from Ariana Mora and Gold Coast. You know, in these situations, Gold Coast have obviously been a team that rely on doing it by committee. But finals are a different, you know, especially grand finals are a completely different game, and especially when they're struggling to put points on the board, I think you need to limit the ball movement a little bit and play through the people that are comfortable making decisions. So I think really these last 4 minutes, pump the ball into Ariana Mora and on balls with Jackie Luna Castro, get them playing with each other, and then you can kind of create Spartans, you know, sagging in a little bit and then hit people other people and make it easier for them. So
yeah, definitely. So, and it's not necessarily about, you know, moving around on the offensive side to make the pass, but it's more about moving the defense around as well, because it is making it hard for Ariana Mora to go to work and get the points on the board when the defense is stagnant. They just get to stand there and defend because there's no movement from the Gold Coast team offensively. So they need to be cutting in and out of the keyway or flashing high to drag the defensive players out of the way so Mora can make that move as well.
yeah, or yeah, like, you know, there needs to be a little bit more movement, but at least if you can't, you know, you're in a situation where you can't move or it's too late, you know, just better spacing, hit the corners, hit the receiver spot. So, you know, Spartans most of the time, they switch those on balls. And to me, if they want to do that against Ariana Mora, I'm happy with that if I'm Gold Coast. And then you got Ariana Mora going one-on-one with a big, you know, in Beck Haynes or Leah Scott, you know, and you're putting them in tough situations. And then if anyone helps, if the spacing's good, you can hit shooters outside of that. So, like I said, I think they really need to play through as much as they can, even if there is tough situations, and just rely on your decision makers to make the plays down the stretch in this game.
Yeah, and realistically, they're going to need to try and find a way to make that work as well. It's a 20-point ball game now, so again, the lead keeps creeping up for the Southern District Spartans. So the likes of Mora in particular really do need to start getting firing a little bit more. She's only hit a couple of shots so far in the third quarter. And also the likes of, you know, Luna Castro as well. Someone that's had a phenomenal season all around, but hasn't really done too much coming into the last 4 minutes of this third quarter. So Gold Coast need to continue getting their big names rolling, getting them hot, and just taking the right shots as well. The Rollers with an opportunity now. The ball is with Moore in that far corner. Nice handoff there. Ambrose now with a long 2-point jump shot, but that's a little bit too strong. Mora with the offensive rebound finds Luna Castro inside, and they're going to get Lee Scott for the foul. She can't seem to believe her eyes on the foul call, but I mean, there was definitely contact on that. It was unfortunate, but that clip in the back of the leg of Luna Castro just caused her legs to go out from underneath her. Yeah,
and I think it's 2 shots, obviously, with Spartans in a bit of foul trouble early, but like you mentioned, they need to get Jackie Luna Castro going as well, and I think, you know, that's why those on balls work. If Spartans want to switch, then Jackie can go to the block, you know, and play from the post against a smaller player rather than playing in the post against a Leah Scott or a Beck Haynes who are comfortable in those situations. So, you know, if Spartans want to switch, to me, that's fine, and then you attack the mismatches off movement and off pace. So we'll see if that Gold Coast can try and exploit these mismatches here a little bit in the end of the third quarter.
Well, both free throws were good, so we're back to 18 points, the difference here. Lee Scott with it now, kicks out to Isaac. Really great movement from the Southern District Spartans. There's good hands inside from Mora to get the block pass from it going inside, and they'll get the turnover as well.
Yeah, and that's one thing that's kind of been there in this, you know, third quarter compared to the second for Gold Coast, is that help defense. It's just unlucky that they've allowed the 3-point shooters in Nat Taylor and guys like that to get going. So if they can lock up on that, they can get back in this game, but they need to, you know, get out the shooters and execute offensively here as well.
And great inside look there from Patrick, but just couldn't quite get the fall on the inside layup. The Spartans now with a chance to continue their dominating lead here. It's Mellors in the corner. No, sorry, Nat Taylor in the corner for the 3-point drop. As Mora goes straight to work with the inside-outside pass. Luna Castro hands off to Ambrose. Her jump shot a little too far to the right. And the Spartans just continuing to put easy points on the board as well as Haynes goes to work inside for another 2.
Yeah, and as we spoke about in that first quarter, Gold Coast transition D really coming back to kill them a little bit in this third quarter again. You know, a shot goes up there from Sarah Ambrose, and we've got people contesting the O-boards, but there's no one getting back. And Beck Haynes, who she'll admit towards the end of her career is able to beat everyone down the court and get an easy layup for Spartans.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's so hard being the Gold Coast Rollers coming up against this Spartans team because they do have so many big-name players that have been in the league for so many years, and not just playing in the league, but dominating in the league for so many years as well. And that is really tough to come up against, and especially in grand finals basketball where you know, Southern District Spartans they've seen this level of competition for the last 2 years in a row. Well, sorry, this will be their 3rd year in a row. And they just know how to play grand finals basketball, and that is really starting to show here in this second half.
Yeah, and absolutely. And even beyond that, though, most of these girls have played in Seabull National Championships when the Spartans were back in the Seabull and played in the WNBL and that. So, and then you go on the other hand, and Gold Coast are a bit limited offensively, so completely different contrast. You know, but Gold Coast can still get themselves back in the game, but they need to take care of the simple things. As we see Ash Karatiana, she's been great today, make another drive there and get to the foul line for the Spartans.
Yeah, she really has stepped up. Like we sort of said, she came into the game only averaging 4.9 points per game, and she's sitting on 13 points at the moment as she goes to the line for another 2. So just doing a really fantastic game. And again, this just goes to show the depth of this Southern District Spartans team as well, that they can pull Karatiana off the bench and sitting on 14 points. So they're just such a deep team. They do have so much talent, and even when their big names start to get themselves in foul trouble, you know, they've got so much talent coming in.
Yeah, absolutely, and someone that's, wow. I'm going to leave that there, Regan. Wow.
Yeah, I think wow is probably the appropriate response to that.
She was not going
Brayden.
fast enough to make that.
No,
She was walking.
Look, as a former QPL referee, I'll let you just sit with the wow. I will say probably a hard decision on Ariana Mora, because, yeah, there was not a lot of momentum behind her that would cause that level of contact against Beck Haynes, especially not when Haynes has probably a good half a foot on Mora as well. So there's not a lot of momentum to cause her to fall over like that. So
in saying that, the refs have been pretty good this game, so we'll let that one slide.
Oh, absolutely. And realistically, the whole final series that we have actually got to enjoy as well, the officiating has been absolutely outstanding. So, look, they're always going to get one, maybe 50-50 wrong here and there, but as a whole, the game itself has been really consistent throughout. And considering that was only the second foul for Gold Coast and Spartans are sitting on 6, look, we'll let it slide under the radar.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure Cassie won't, though.
Probably not. Probably on the phone to her sister after the game's going, what's going on?
But again, it's been interesting to see. I thought it would be interesting coming into this game how Gold Coast guard Spartans, because the thing they've been so successful at against previous teams is really packing the paint and relying on people to hit jump shots. But, you know, against Spartans, you can't really do that because they have a lot of offensive power from the perimeter. So it's going to be interesting to see what Cassie Dover maybe looks at in this last quarter. You know, even if they don't get back in the game, but just for the next game tomorrow to see, you know, different things she can do against this high-powered offense that is the Spartans.
Yeah, definitely so, and it is going to be a very, very important scout for Cassie Dover after the game tonight or early tomorrow morning when they, you know, watch the 7/8 of the game that they're able to watch back, just to see where that defense kind of slipped up a little bit and what they're going to have to do to get themselves back into the momentum into tomorrow night's game, as we see the last couple of seconds in this third quarter. But I think you're right. It's getting to the point now where it's not necessarily just about the game here tonight. It's about what they need to change up and what they need to do going into game 2 tomorrow night. And that does wrap up the third quarter of action here at Roland Cowan Stadium. It's 65 plays 44, so the Southern District Spartans starting to creep away. I don't want to say it's all over, but the Southern District Spartans definitely looking very, very solid in getting this first game so far.
Yeah, for sure. They've definitely been, you know, the dominant team ever since, you know, the end of the first quarter. And like we said, you know, Gold Coast did a better job at some things defensively and taking away the post-ups and that, but then they let Spartans get going from the three-point line. And when Spartans get going on the three-point line, you better address it quickly, otherwise it can get away from you very quickly. So, you know, like I said, it's going to be interesting this fourth quarter. You know, she has a go at it. Cassie has a go at it for this start of the fourth quarter and see if they can get back in the game. But if not, you maybe start to get your players some rest when you've got another game tomorrow night. So it'll be interesting to see how this fourth quarter plays out.
Yeah, definitely so. So it is 65 plays 44. It is three-quarter time, so we're going to take a quick break, but stay right with us because we'll have the fourth quarter of action for you shortly, presented by Nothing But Net Media and the Stream Team Australia. And back with you here as we get ready to kick off the fourth quarter of action in your QBL Game 1 final. It's the Southern District Spartans with a fairly commanding lead over the Gold Coast Rollers in Game 1. But there is another quarter of action to go, and if you're Cassie Dover coming into this fourth quarter, you're down by 21 points. As a coach, what kind of conversation are you having with your troops?
I think you really want to try and do some things to disrupt Spartans in this first, couple of minutes of this quarter, seeing if you can get anything out of Spartans, maybe some turnovers and some easy points to get back in the game. If not, I think that's when you start to try and get them some rest and maybe, prepare for tomorrow night. But she'll be looking at some things she can do differently as well to prepare for tomorrow night. So it's going to be an interesting start, and obviously you don't want it to blow out too much, for the confidence of your team either.
Yeah, definitely so, and that's kind of the really tough position to sort of play as well. You want to rest some of your key players going into the second game tomorrow night. But again, confidence is such a big thing when it comes to grand finals basketball because it is a very different ball game. The atmosphere is next level. The stakes are next level. So you don't want to, lose too much momentum going into that second game because it's not just about quarter 1 to quarter 2 or quarter 3 momentum. It's game-to-game momentum in a 3-game series as well. So, I think it is important for Gold Coast just to consider their options. They're only down by 21, so it's not completely over yet. But they definitely need to just continue shooting like that there as we see a great little shot from Sian Woods. But even if they're not going to win the game tonight, they need to have a stellar fourth quarter to give them that confidence going into game 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the other hand, Spartans will be, a veteran team. Will be looking to try and put this game away as quickly as they can to try and, get those older legs some rest and be ready for tomorrow night. So, it's interesting with both sides. Spartans looking to put the game away and Gold Coast looking to see what they can get out of the game for tomorrow night as well.
Yeah, and Spartans definitely can't take the foot off the pedal, as you sort of said, Braden, because realistically, we saw it 2 weekends ago in the semi-final where Spartans had a relatively commanding lead over the Ipswich Force, but coming down into the final minutes of that fourth quarter, it got quite close again. So it does make a big difference, It's not just about, we're up by 20, we can sort of relax a little bit now. You got to keep playing all the way through, especially in this level of basketball. And great hands there for Sarah Ambrose as she then goes all the way to the rim and whacks on another 2 points. So that's an 0-6 run there for the Gold Coast Rollers, closing the gap down to just 15. And as we said, the game's definitely not over. 2 minutes of basketball, a 6-point swing for the Rollers. But Aja Paramama can't put that one away either. And Rollers with another chance to go, pun intended, on a roll. And it just keeps firing now for the Rollers as we see Susanna Walmsley drop a 3-point shot to close the gap down to 12. And coach Rebecca Lewis not too happy with that 9-0 run in the first 2 minutes, 20 seconds. So she's going to take a timeout. Now, we're going to keep it here for a second, though. Now, Braden, if you're Coach Lewis, what are you saying going into this timeout? Because this is a massive momentum swing for Gold Coast.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we saw a similar thing like you mentioned with at the Ipswich game in the semi-final. When Ipswich kind of came out of the fourth quarter and with a bit more intensity defensively, Spartans sort of forced, everything and forced tough shots, and it was able to, allow Ipswich and now Gold Coast to get out and run offensively and get some easy buckets. So such a veteran team. I really wouldn't expect that from them, in the Spartans, but I think she'll be looking for more offensive execution, move the ball a little bit more, get some more spacing, use a little bit more of the clock, then try and get to the rim or the foul line. And then on the other hand, something that Gold Coast have struggled with most of the game has been their transition D, and Spartans, it hasn't been great for them the last couple of minutes, and that's allowed Gold Coast to go on this run. So just a couple of simple things as far as offensive execution and transition D. Spartans, if they can address that, they should be able to close out this game.
Yeah, definitely so. Well, we sort of said it coming into the start of the quarter. It really is anyone's game, and the Rollers have really shown that they can get themselves back into this one. It's 12 points the difference now, a 9-point swing for the Rollers. Spartans are going to get the ball out of the timeout, though, as the shot clock rolls down into single digits, and Karatiana fires a one-handed jump shot from the keyway. Patrick with the defensive rebound, so Rollers again with another chance to put on some more points. And that won't do it, but the offensive board is definitely handy. Mora coming down with that one, the ball falling into her lap. So we see Woods driving baseline, and she's going to pick up the foul as well. They're going to call that one against Aja Paramama.
I'd like to see, that kickback from Sian Woods to Ariana Mora at the 3-point line with a little bit of space, especially when they got the momentum. I'd like to see someone like Ariana Moore to take that shot and put a bit more pressure on Spartans. But, you know, Gold Coast still rolling with the momentum, able to force another tough shot down the other end. So we'll see if they can come up with another bucket here.
Yeah, we see Luna Castro going inside, but there's going to be a big block from behind on that one. Shami and Mellors with a huge block to stop the momentum there for Jackie Luna Castro.
Yeah, huge block. I think there was some shoulder and head contact as well. So good drive, but, you know, lucky to get away with the contact there with Spartans.
The ball getting tapped straight out of bounds there as well. So Patrick passing in for the Rollers. They're going to have 14 seconds on the shot clock. Caratiana almost getting the steal out of bounds, but ending up on the deck. 7 seconds to shoot. It's going to come from Sian Woods, and she hits it. The streak up to 11-0 now for the Rollers. Ten points of difference now, an all-important score needed from the Southern District Spartans. And Lee Scott gets the friendly roll on that one to break the streak from the Rollers. But still a little bit of work here to do now from the Southern District Spartans defensively to stop a big shot like that from Luna Castro, but it bounces out. And Mellors with the D-board for the Spartans. And big offense there from Lee Scott from probably a solid half a foot behind the backboard, trying to jump into the court and drawing the foul as well. And
yeah, this is where sort of I've seen, you know, Leah Scott play the last 3 seasons, obviously with the USC rep before Spartans, and, you know, that's where you can see the maturity in her game now. She's realising that her team struggled a bit offensively, not getting much buckets and easy opportunities, and, you know, twice she's taken to the basket, able to get the layup previously, and then able to get herself to the foul line, and that's why she's been, you know, so good for the Spartans this year.
And just speaking of the foul line as well, she's standing very far over to the left-hand side of the free throw line. I don't think I've seen that at a QBL level, standing way to the far left-hand side.
It's something that she's always done, so it is interesting, but seems to work for her. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I've never sort of seen it at this level, but hey, it worked. She just hit 2 from 2 quite easily.
She's a unique personality, Leah, so I wouldn't expect anything less with a free throw routine either.
Hey, with the way that she shoots and the way that she's been playing this QBL 19 season, she can take the shot however she wants because it clearly works for her. Big defense there from Isaac for the Spartans getting the stop. We're back at a 14-point gap. At least Scott fires a late jump shot, and they're going to get a call on Sarah Ambrose, just making contact with the wrist. So again, Lee Scott going to find her way to the free throw line.
And again, I think, you know, Gold Coast have obviously been good to start this, you know, first 5 minutes of this 4th quarter. But I think Cassie Dover will look at the tape and realise, you know, when they haven't got many easy opportunities and they can't get anything out of transition, that they need to get through something or, you know, get through an on-ball or something. You know, right now, the last couple of possessions, Spartans' transition D has been better, you know, and Gold Coast really haven't executed anything. It's been sort of passed around the 3-point line, you know, and take a forced shot. So that's something, if Gold Coast can address that, they definitely hold themselves in good stead going forward, you know, with the improvements they've made in this 4th quarter as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And realistically, that's a huge confidence booster for the Gold Coast, the way they came out firing in the 4th quarter. And, you know, Spartans just needed that little bit of time to get themselves back in it, and they've managed to string a couple of points in a row together now as well. So, look, really exciting 4th quarter of action here. So even though it looked like it was going to blow out, this has probably been one of the best contested quarters we've seen, and really exciting basketball to close out the 4th. Wormsley with it now, kicking out to Carly Patrick. She goes left and picks up the foul. They're going to get that one against Caratiana, just reaching down across the wrists of Patrick.
Foul on Ash, that's a third.
Caratiana not too happy about the hands foul call, but referee Luke Patrick actually going with the body contact that got her on the side.
Yeah, I think that was a good call, but obviously, you know, a good attack on the rim from Carly, able to get to the foul line, but again, you know, not much offense there from, you know, Gold Coast. It's just sort of drill a hand off around the 3-point line and then hope someone can create something. So, you know, that's an area to me they really need to address if they want to have a chance of getting back in this series going forward this weekend.
Yeah, and the Southern District Spartans just subbed in a 6th player as well. Not sure whose baby just ended up on the floor, but we had a 6th player for the Southern District Spartans, probably the cutest player on the floor as well. Odette Isaac having to pass the kid back off to the sidelines. But hey, the 6 players helped them as Caratiana fires a big 3-point drop to start closing out this lead once again for the Southern District Spartans. Mora going herself inside, pulls the O board, but they're going to get a foul on Lee Scott. When Mora can't make the first work, she makes the second work and is going to go to the line for 2.
That's her 4th in the game.
A little bit of a concern there for Lee Scott as well, as that's her 4th personal foul with just over 4.5 minutes to play in the 4th. Cash for the first for Mora. And the second is good as well. The lead sitting back at 15 points, but straight away there's a turnover from the Spartans. Mora coming down with it. Patrick tries to fire over Caratiana and can't make it fall, but they've got a foul again. I think this one's going against Aja Paramama. It'll be Mora going back to the line again for another 2.
Yeah, and again, you know, that's an area, you know, I spoke about Cassie Dover looking at the film, you know, after this game, and that's one thing she'll look at, you know, they've done well is Gold Coast have been able to crash the offensive board against a team in Spartans that's traditionally been a really good, you know, rebounding team. So, you know, they've got 15 compared to 6 from, you know, Spartans, and it's able to get them going a little bit. You know, they've only been able to convert it into 6 points, but I think that's an area that if they can try and, again, they need to try and create as many easy buckets if they can. So if they can continue to do that tomorrow and put a couple more buckets away, again, it's another avenue for them to score against a really good defensive team in Spartans. Yeah,
definitely so, and especially when they're, you know, already in foul trouble again as well. So every foul from now on against Gold Coast, they're going to go to the line for 2 shots. So like you said, in the sense of putting on easy points, Gold Coast just needs to continue playing aggressively. And that's not just about underneath the basket or taking shots, even dribbling the ball up the court, pass the ball around the outside, play aggressive, get yourself to the line, you know, find an easy way to make some points and close down this 13-point gap. Patrick loses the handles on that one there. Spartans coming down with the steal. Caratiana now for Spartans finds Aja Paramama in underneath, but she's too far under the bucket. Hits the bottom of the rim and ends up on the deck. Gold Coast needing to take advantage of this 5-on-4 offense. Paramama still struggling to get back. 3-point shot is well long there from Susanna Wormsley though, and it ends up out of bounds and in the hands of the Spartans.
Timeout on the floor. Coach Cassie Dover wants to talk about it.
And they're going to have a timeout on the floor as well, as Paramama has a conversation with referee Luke Patrick about the contact that ended her on the deck. But there is that timeout on the floor with just under 3.5 minutes to go. We're going to take a quick break as well, but stay right with us as we close out the final few minutes of your QBL Game 1 action. And back with you here at Roland Cowan Stadium. It's a 13-point ball game in Game 1 of the QBL semi-final action. Timeout back in. It's Spartans ball. They've got the lead by 13. Gold Coast definitely needing a very important stop here to keep themselves in this one.
Let's go, Spartans. Let's go.
Taylor on the inside now. They need to get a shot away with shot clock rolling down. They managed to find it. Charmian Mellors with a 2-point jump shot from the arm. Patrick for the Rollers. Looks to go inside. Dishes off for Mora. Mora's inside layup. A little bit too strong going over the top.
Here we go. Let's go.
And Spartans now, again, 15 points in the lead, managing to get the ball back. They find Lee Scott inside. And then a cutting Paramama. But good steal there from Sian Woods for the Rollers. Walmsley with it now, finds Mora in the corner. Rollers just deciding to take things a little bit slower. Patrick finds her way inside, but they referees get her for the 3-second call.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. And again, you know, not much from Gold Coast offensively, you know, just more of a stand around and try and rely on someone to go one-on-one. You know, and as I've said, you know, every time we've covered a Spartans game, that they're way too good defensively to be able to do that, especially in a grand final series. So Gold Coast need to review that and try and execute a little bit more offensively if they're going to have a chance, you know, going forward to score enough points to beat Spartans.
Yeah, definitely so. And, you know, this Spartans team is so strong and so deep as well. And we've been saying this for years now as well. They just do have so much depth, and they've got so many players that have played at this level of basketball for many, many years. And it's coming down into this fourth quarter where that depth really starts to show, and they're just going to close out game number one relatively comfortably in the end in the last couple of minutes. Woods fires away a loose roller on the inside. It looked like it was going to be too strong, but got the friendly bounce off the backboard and found its way to the bottom of the net. Mellors returning the favour though, finding a nice easy one in underneath. As the Rollers make a couple of last-minute substitutions, they take out Mora and Patrick, subbing in Christine Obermeyer. And I think it's Sarah Ambrose checking back in as well. Oh no, Patrick's still on the floor. Who else came out? Walmsley.
Yeah, it was Ariana Mora and Susanna Walmsley. I think she's struggling with a bit of a knee or an ankle as well. Susanna Walmsley getting checked out on the end of the Gold Coast bench.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what happened there or where she might have done it, but definitely looking in a little bit of discomfort in her lower leg. See, Mel has put on another nice two-point shot there. Rollers doing an all right job at the moment of putting points on the board. They're just not getting the stops that they need to try and close down this gap a little bit more. So I think comfortable victory now for the Southern District Spartans, but realistically, it's been a fantastic game all the way through, and you know, it looked like it was going to be quite a competitive game in this fourth quarter after that first 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, I think Spartans just showed too much, you know, experience and, like you said, depth in this fourth quarter, and they were able to, you know, make the key plays when it mattered most and lock down defensively, and that's what they're known for. They weren't great defensively for the first three quarters, but in this fourth quarter, after Gold Coast made a run to start the term, they were able to sort of lock down and create, you know, turnovers and easy buckets for them. So that's what Spartans have been known for, and it's helped them get the win here tonight. Yeah,
definitely so. And for Gold Coast Rollers, look, it's been a really fantastic fight throughout the night, and they definitely had really strong runs as well. And that 11-0 run that they had at the very start of this fourth quarter was absolutely phenomenal. It just goes to show that they've definitely got it in them to, you know, get themselves into the game and compete in a grand final series. They just need to do it for more than 3 minutes at a time, because unfortunately, even though basketball is a game of runs, coming up against a team like a Southern District Spartans, you can't just rely on a couple of runs. You really do have to play all the way through every single quarter. And for the Rollers and Coach Cassie Dover, it's going to be about going to the tape, watching the game back, and just trying to find those areas where you can improve even 2%, because that could really make a difference in the final stages of tomorrow night's game. And that is it for game number one in the QBL Grand Final Series. As the final siren sounds, it is 82 plays 64. The Southern District Spartans taking out game number one. And Braden, massive congratulations to the Southern District Spartans in the first game. They really did come out firing on all cylinders and just had an outstanding game.
Yeah, I think, you know, they've still got a lot of room that they can address as well. And I don't think they, you know, played their best tonight. I think defensively at times, which is what they're known for. They, you know, they had some breakdowns early on on-ball screens and different stuff. But and then offensively, I don't think they executed as well as they normally, you know, do for 4 quarters of the game. But you know, that, like I said, that experience and depth able to shine through. And you know, Coach Beck Lewis said that was a massive advantage for them coming into the game. And you know, especially when Gold Coast made that run to start that fourth quarter, they were just able to come up, you know, with plays at big times. Leah Scott, was able to get to the free throw line and get some buckets for her team. I thought Ash Caratiana was huge tonight, someone that's, in that semi-final we covered a couple weeks ago, only played around 10 minutes. So Nat Taylor, on the other hand, able to get going from the three-point line, and that's just why they're so hard to guard. You need to play 40 minutes. You need to lock down on everyone. You need to stick to the scout. If you don't do that, you've got no chance against them. So Spartans, like I said, came up with big plays at big times, but they've got a lot of room for improvement tomorrow night as well.
Yeah, definitely so. And look, it is a fantastic first game for the Southern District Spartans. Both teams have a couple of areas to improve on throughout the night, but more so than anything, I think the Gold Coast Rollers just need to look at their defensive intensity. We saw it 2 weeks ago in that game against Townsville. They played an amazing defensive game. They kept Abby Bishop from scoring any points in a 45-minute set. So we know that they can do it. We know that they have the defensive strength there. And coming up a team that is 7-8 players deep, they really need to maintain that strength defensively. And look, they took a couple of really good shots, and Mora had an outstanding performance as well. As we just look at the stats in front of us, Mora came out. I think she ended on 23 points for the game as well. So look, a good score from Mora. We have definitely seen her score more in the season as well. And when it comes down to grand final time, we do need to see the ball going a little bit through Mora's hands and shooting in a slightly higher percentage as well. She only ended on 35% from the field. So definitely a little bit of work to do down both ends of the floor. Southern District Spartans fouls ended up being a big thing in this game as well, ending up on 6 or 7 fouls in the third and fourth quarter. So they just need to look at the way they're playing defense, getting their hands out, getting rid of that scrappy stuff that doesn't need to be there in their game, and just trusting their defense and just trusting they're going to get into position and play good ball and get the stop.
Yeah, absolutely. And Spartans, obviously, like I said, were good tonight, but have some areas they need to address. And I think the good thing for the Gold Coast and Coach Cassie Dover is, when you look back at the tape, I think it's things that they can, are really easy to address. I think it was, she mentioned to me today, in the preview article we did, was locking down on scouts for 40 minutes. And we showed that's something they probably didn't do. Charmaine Mellors, Arja Paramamar, guys like that look to attack from the post against mismatches. They didn't provide enough help on that. And then on the other hand, when they did help out on that, they allowed the three-point shooters in Ash Caratiana and Nat Taylor to get going. So, and then the main thing, like the first half was, like I said at halftime, was they were allowed Leah Scott to get going in transition because they were picking her up so late. So I think those individual scouts things for focuses for Gold Coast will be huge for tomorrow night. If they can do that, they give themselves a chance. But I definitely didn't see the, I saw it in patches, but I definitely didn't see the, pressure and physicality from Gold Coast that we've come to know from them, having coached against them and seen them play so much. So that's something they'll look to address and obviously come out with that physicality and intensity from the start. But then on top of that, there's no point in getting those stops defensively if you can't execute some sets on the other end and try and get to the rim and create some easy chances offensively. So, on the other hand, it's great defensively. They need to focus on some things, but they need to be able to, execute offensively and put some pressure on Spartans. And if they can execute offensively, they're able to get back in transition D and the game's a bit slower like Gold Coast wanted. They don't want Spartans playing in the 80s. They want this game to be in the 70s or 60s. So if they can lock up those few areas defensively and execute offensively, they definitely give themselves a chance going forward this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they did a couple of things well with their scout, because if you look at the game from the semi-finals 2 weeks ago, Odette Isaac dropped a massive 30 points, which I believe was a season high for her. And they did a really good job of closing her down. She only ended on 6 in the game, and in fact only took 5 shots from the field. So they did a really good job of stopping Odette Isaac from getting hot, but unfortunately with the deep team, as we've discussed from Spartans, it then meant that Lee Scott ended on 24 points. As Caratiana coming off the bench dropped a massive 17. And of course, Charmian Mellors getting a big 12 and Nat Taylor 13 as well. So it is very, very hard as a team to just defend such a deep team. And, for Cassie Dover and the team from Gold Coast, it is going to be about going through that scout, looking at where they can improve defensively, who they need to shut down, and what they can work on the defensive end. But look, we saw some very, very positive signs from the Gold Coast Rollers in the game tonight, and that 11-0 run to start off the fourth quarter in 2.5 minutes was absolutely outstanding. So the talent is there, the skill is there. They just need to pull that across for a little bit longer than 3 minutes at a time, and we will have a game on our hands for game number 2 tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing you can't do is write off Gold Coast. They've shown throughout this season, in games where people didn't expect them to do much, they have a great team chemistry, great work ethic, and obviously they have the Coach of the Year and Cassie Dover at the helm. So, I'm sure that'll be a focus for Spartans is they need to come out with more intensity tomorrow night because, you can be assured that Gold Coast will get together as a group. You know, like I said, that team chemistry will show. They'll bond. They'll know what they did wrong, know what they need to improve on, and they'll come back with a better effort tomorrow night. So I expect them to really be firing tomorrow night, bring the intensity. It's whether, you know, Spartans can keep up with that as well. But definitely don't write off Gold Coast going forward this weekend.
Yeah, definitely not. But as we said, it is, of course, a 3-game series in the grand final. So we will be back here tomorrow night. Just checking my calendar in front of me. It is a 5:30 p.m. game tomorrow night, back here at Roland Cowan Stadium, and we will be live streaming again, of course, on the Basketball Queensland YouTube channel and Facebook page. I'm going to bring my duct tape and everything I possibly can to really tape everything down so that we don't have any more issues with the crowd knocking out my gear or anything like that. And if you do have a couple of minutes as well, guys, do tune in to the men's grand final matchup that is currently taking place on YouTube Live and Facebook Live on Basketball Queensland as well. It is the Brisbane Capitals taking on the Gold Coast Rollers in the men's Game 1 grand final action as well. So once again, I do have to say a couple of thank yous before we wrap up here tonight. Jacob Beals on the camera behind me. Massive thank you to James Bowman down in Sydney after our gear knocked out for checking in, trying to fix everything up for us. Braden Wormsley, my co-commentator. My name is Regan Baker, and we'll see you tomorrow night for game number 2 in the grand final QBL action between the Southern District Spartans and the Gold Coast Rollers. Good night.